Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome back to you guys, wherever it is you happen to be tuning in from. As you know, I'm here in Medellín, Colombia, and as always, I am back with not only something that you need to hear before you leave the United States or wherever you happen to be moving out of and looking to venture into another country, but tonight I have a special guest on with us. We're going to get into that, but I want to make certain we get into the introductions and the particulars. So, if you guys don't know who I am, my name is RJ Mood. I am originally from Philadelphia, but I have been living full time in Colombia, specifically Medellin, for the last 3 years. Where you are is the Mood Travel Abroad podcast. And what we do here is give you exactly what you need to go and succeed out of the United States or wherever it is that you are looking from to leave and then go to a new destination. But what also happens is we bring you the real conversations, the things that you might have forgotten when you are running out of your burning situation, that burning house that you might feel America is right now. Well, you guys have to realize that the move abroad and relocation gives you guys not only an opportunity to transform your life, but an opportunity to see the world from a different view and a different lens. And with that comes a lot of responsibility, a lot of responsibility on you, the person that is saying, I'm willing to uproot everything that I know and everything that I own, learn a new language and a new culture, become a part of a new community, see what that looks like and feels like, because oftentimes we forget how to navigate those bare necessity, basic human desires and needs. Yet on this podcast and all of our platforms, we do our best to remind you there may be some more things that you need in your relocation toolkit. You may need some more things in your relocation book bag on this journey where you're not remembering that community is going to be at one of the most high points when we talk about sustainability, when we talk about the adaptability of learning a new language, learning a new culture, being a part of a new community. When you say, "Hey guys, I'm at the airport. Can the gate agent let me in?" You are asking to be a part of a community, and those people there are already thriving. So these conversations are designed to kind of put a mirror in front of you, give you an opportunity to see yourself before you say you want to be a part of the world, and then realistically connect you to the resources that you need, the immigration lawyers, the visas, the healthcare, the real estate. Those things are obviously always on most people's thought process. But tonight we're going to get into a conversation with something that I am definitely aligned with when it comes down to how to impact the community that has accepted me. Tonight we have a special guest from Digital Nomads for Good. Miss Sabine is going to be on the phone with you guys talking about how not only to be of a positive reaction to the community that you're saying that you want to go to, but what this actually looks like versus just things that you want to do for the internet. Because a lot of people are in a scenario where social media is running their lives, and what we are seeing on ground, specifically here in Medellin, is the impact that we can have in a positive way to communities that are asking and looking for shared information, shared resources, shared energy. So without further ado, I want to take on the founder of Digital Nomads for Good, Miss Sabina. How are you doing today?
Oh, hi, RJ. Yeah, hello, everybody. My name is Sabina. I'm good. I'm not used to recording a podcast, so it's kind of new for me. But thank you so much for the invitation.
No, always, always. We just had a very good weekend just this past weekend that gave us the opportunity to get into the city of Medellin and work with some kids that realistically the smiles I saw on their faces, the smile I had on my face just enjoying time and seeing just simplicity from a kid's perspective. You know, those things are always, I feel like, taken for granted as we become adults. But we're going to get into, a little bit about you. You guys might have heard she has a accent that is not American. So I want to talk to you about where you're from and essentially what brought you to Colombia.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been in Colombia for 7 years. I am from the Netherlands, and 11 years ago, I did my thesis in Medellin, and I got the opportunity to do my thesis for one of the foundations in Medellin. It's So I was here for 10 months doing my thesis, doing a research, And after 10 months, I went back to the Netherlands and I worked a bit. And about 7.5 years ago, I wrote an email to the founder of that foundation. And I asked if I could maybe work for the foundation. And he said, well, if you want, you can start tomorrow. So I packed my bags, and 2, 3 months later, I went to Medellín. The idea was to stay a year. And now 7 years later, I'm still here.
Yeah, that's everybody's story. I feel like
Yeah.
I gave myself 6 months and was just testing it out, trying to see if it was going to be a place I could see myself long term. And so many people, that is their story. I was only going to be here for just a little bit of time, and you get into the food, the biodiversity, the people, the culture. It is such a beautiful country, and I always tell people. From the outside looking in, if you haven't really done your research, you guys really don't know what you're missing. But you guys, you said you started and you came out here and you were working for an organization. Talk to me about how this matriculated into where we are today with Digital Nomads for Good.
Yeah, so I studied social work and I started working for that one foundation. And all the time I was like, this foundation is doing such an amazing job, and there are so many kids and families benefiting from that foundation. There is so many stories that I've heard about kids who had nothing and now they got the opportunity to study. And I've heard many success stories about people that now are 20, 21, 22 years old who were able to study, are now contributing to society, they have a job. And I'm like, but they were literally like in wooden shacks in really bad states how they were living, and now they have a good life thanks to this one foundation. But I always thought like there is one foundation that I'm working for that is doing an amazing job, but there are so many other foundations that are also doing a lot of great things. And I always felt like, but all these foundations, they don't have a lot of resources, they work on islands, it's difficult for them to get by. So I always thought like I want to help more foundations, but at the same time I'm committed to this one foundation. My time is limited. um, and so like that was like difficult to do more for other foundations. And at one point I had the opportunity to work for Digital Nomads for Good. And Digital Nomads for Good is a platform that helps to bridge between foreigners staying in Medellin and local led charities. And there is 18 charities that we're helping, and we're helping them through like there's three pillars that we're using. It's the first one is to get more funds to them. So I'm fundraising a lot like with the in the digital nomad community to be
Mhm.
like, you can donate, it's easy, we accept credit cards, so you can donate to one organization, to two, or you can say okay, just spread the money evenly over all the 18 foundations. But we also help people with volunteer opportunities. So I post volunteer opportunities, but if people are staying a bit longer, then they can connect with me and then I can help them find something that fits with them. And the third one is knowledge, because there is a lot of, and knowledge works on both sides. So knowledge is on one side, it's for the foreigners that are coming here, that are staying here for a while, but they don't know a lot about the culture or the why there is so much inequality in Medellin. Like a lot of people don't know much about estratos, and estratos is the social economic system that's between 1 and 6. Like 1 is the poorer neighborhoods, and 6 is like the highest. But why is it that way? What happened there? Like, and every Tuesday I post something about these things, about that kind of things. It's about inquilinatos, that is shared housing, which has like big problems behind it. It's the estratos, it's the informal economy, like those kind of things. And
Mhm.
on the other side, I also every 2 months I organize a workshop for the foundations, and I hire somebody to give the workshop to them. And it can be about how to do fundraising internationally, how to write a project proposal for governments. It is for them to really be able to grow and to get more self-sustainable and to get more funds so they can focus on their impact. because they don't have the money to hire somebody to give a workshop about those things. And if every foundation has to do that separately, then that's very expensive. But if I hire somebody and there's 18 foundations benefiting from that, that's pretty cool, and that saves a lot of money.
Listen, seeing now, like hearing what the behind the curtains and understanding the three pillars and going and seeing these things. You heard the same story, and I'm sure you weren't. It wasn't the first time, but realistically, when I get in the opportunity to go and volunteer, the situation that we just did this weekend when we went to go to La Casina de Quima, and speaking with them and hearing their story, it gives me goosebumps because most of my audience is probably going to be American, so I'm going to talk to the Americans that are going to be in the room. And I say this is because whether you are poor or rich, if you are in America, you have a lot more than most people have, and you don't realize that. And when you go to other places and you see somebody that you would think, oh well, it would be difficult if I was in this situation to give back, yet I am seeing people that have these resilience and this drive to help other people to not go through what it is that they went through just to be able to start an organization, give back to people. And it's just such an impactful thing to see and hear. And that's why we're here because there was no one to help us get out of the United States. Now we're in a position to bring on resources and bring on education and bring on what you might not remember in a scenario where so many people can be impacted by this. But what we're doing and what we're seeing here on the ground and what you are doing is it's connecting in such a good way because most people will understand, teaching a man how to fish. And what you're doing is giving them an opportunity not only to be connected on an international level, but as we get technology, uh, the internet, everybody's got Instagram. You're teaching people and sharing resources that are beyond give a dollar today. And I think that goes so much more impactful to how I know Colombia works in the community where that knowledge is going to be shared. And now these things aren't foreign. It's okay, we know how to engage international audience for these good causes. So those those things that you're doing, you said I think it was once a month with the organizations to foster education and further expansion. That's even more impactful than what I've already known you guys are doing. Now, I will tell the audience that does not know Digital Nomad for good. You might see I've seen them on the internet. You might have be in the Colombia chats or the Medellin chats down here, but they are somebody that was on my radar before I actually had the pleasure to meet them. And the reason why is because they are actually doing the work, going to the foundations. You have to show that these things are being done because this is where we are these days. Yet it is done in a way where it is giving the opportunity to educate the people that are outside looking to come in on why this is important, and then giving the people that are actually impacted a reason to interact with foreigners in a way where it's beneficial for everybody. I go there and I'm learning things at the same time I'm helping. Um, so talk to me about that because I feel like you have to be a specific kind of person. You said you got it. You were in social work, but talk to me about that because the drive that it takes to go to a foreign country and then to connect multiple organizations doing God's work. Um, you got to be a special person. I want them to get a little bit about you because that's what goes into the organization, if we're honest.
Yeah. So like how I got into this, it was like I wasn't really like in my I was like 18 years old or something, and I was doing an internship somewhere. I studied sports, and one of my colleagues at that time was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do an internship for a charity organization." And that kind of planted a seed in my head that I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And so when I finished my studies, I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go abroad to volunteer and to get to know a country." So I went to Kenya and I stayed there for a couple months to do volunteer work and got back to the Netherlands, and I worked a lot, and I worked a lot to be able to go away and volunteer abroad again because it gave me so much fulfillment to see the impact that I could make on the lives of other people. So I kept doing that for a while, and then I was like, at one point, I was like, well, this is not sustainable. So I studied a second career, which is social work,
Mhm.
and I've always thought like, okay, there is something there, and it to me it's really like it's so fulfilling to do this kind of work. And every time that I hear somebody that is like, oh, you impacted my life, it can be volunteers, it can be people from the community, like it yeah, it fills me with joy. So I'm like, that's I really, people, a lot of people are like, oh, I wouldn't be able to do what you do. And I'm like, well, like I'm not able to do a lot of jobs either. Like there is a lot of jobs that I would be like, that's just not my thing. And that's something good. But yeah. And there is, and I posted about this as well, but there is people that are like, oh, how do you deal with hearing all these stories? Because they're very heavy stories. And to hear those stories sometimes every single day, that is very heavy. But for me, it's also my drive because I see the impact and I see the long-term impact. So I'm like, so you have these horrible experience,
Mhm.
like in the past or at home, or maybe you're still living in it. But at the organization, I can provide you a safe space. At the organization, I can provide you with education, or I can provide you with tools to build yourself a better future. So for
Yeah.
me to hear those stories, it's sad, it's difficult, but at the same time it's also my motivation to be like, it's so necessary, and we just need to keep doing this to make the world more equal.
Yeah. No, and I don't know where you guys, when you guys come to this platform, I say, hey, maybe Colombia is not your place, but I went and go fact check this the other day, and it said, the average Colombian born into poverty takes them 11 generations to escape that. And when we talk about the impact, we're trying to microwave or escape some of that extreme generationism. I believe it's generationism, where it goes from 11, where I know it from my family. My dad was the first person to go to college, but we're talking about third from poverty, third from slavery. So those things, imagine if it was another 8 generations. What you're doing in this opportunity is really important, that I think people go and look at relocation as it's just an opportunity for themselves. And what I'm realizing is this is definitely was something for me. I needed to do this for me, and you need to do this for yourself. But what I'm finding out is it's an opportunity, one, to align my life purpose, to align my ethics, my values, my morals with things that are more in line versus capitalism. What kind of car do I drive? How many things can I get? And I think a lot of expats, immigrants, foreigners coming to Colombia, whatever one you want to call yourself, there's a gap between that. When did you notice that gap? Because I feel like that has to be the reason why you look to try to bridge the gap, because you're called digital nomads for good. You're not called something that has nothing to do with attracting foreigners. So talk to me about that.
So well, basically, so when I did my thesis, I was surrounded by Colombians. I lived in a shared house with Colombian students, and it was all Colombians. And I did the research in one of the neighborhoods with a lot of indigenous people and a lot of homeless people and a lot of drug addicts. And it was like it's a heavy neighborhood, so you already see an imbalance there. And this is like 11, 12 years ago, but that is not as big. And when I started working for the foundation, and this foundation is like in the highest neighborhood of Medellin, it has a beautiful view. It takes an hour and 15 minutes to get there, every single day, going up and down. But I noticed that my friends that I was making, like a lot of Dutch friends, but also American friends, like and Colombian, some Colombian friends as well. I saw like how they were like in El Poblado drinking a cocktail of 30,000 pesos, 40,000 pesos, and I'm like, my lunch is 15,000 pesos, and I have coworkers that are like, I can't afford to pay lunch every day at the foundation, so I bring my own lunch. I'm like, that's, and then the lunch is like, that's their big meal for Colombians. That's, and I'm just like, that's, the disparity is, it's so big. And there is people that are coming to Colombia, and they are living in this bubble, like everybody lives in a bubble also. But people are coming to Colombia, they are staying in El Poblado, they don't do some, yeah, some people don't do a lot of tours, they don't really know anything about the history of Medellin, and they are like in good restaurants, in fancy hotels, in fancy co-livings, workspaces, like it's all, and that's really nice. But I'm like, but there is such a difference, and
Hmm.
oftentimes the money that they spend in those expensive parts, it's not trickling down to the poorer areas. That money stays in the more expensive parts. So a lot of owners are foreigners, or that's like the wealthy Colombians, because within Colombia there is also a big
Big wealth
difference
gap.
between the lower
Hmm.
and the higher stratos. But yeah, so I was like, there is a big gap, and for foreigners, it's almost all foreigners. Of course, there are some that are living in lower estratos that are more connected to the where most how most Colombians live, but
Hmm.
there is, I would say, 90% of the foreigners who choose to come to Colombia, they they are like in the Estrato 5, 6, and a lot of them, they don't really leave their bubble. Today I was talking to somebody and I said, like, if there's a tourist, they do all these tours, a free walking tour, and they do like all these tours, and they learn a lot about Medellin. And people come here to stay for 3, 4, 6 months, a year, 2 years.
Hmm.
They don't do this tour, and I'm like, but then you're also missing out on a lot of information about history. Why is Medellin the way it is? So I feel like there is an information gap for foreigners who are staying longer in Medellin.
Hmm. I agree. I tell people you need to hear the stories of what you're seeing versus just seeing it and just snapping a picture and doing it for the gram. I see that a lot because I get people that say, "Oh, I don't need to get a tour guide to take me to Community 13. I'm just gonna go myself." And then when you do it that way, Community 13 just turns into just nice art and music versus the story of Community 13, it's such a to see what you see now and to know where it was. It's such an important part to go to Botero Plaza and to not realize, not get the understanding of why there's a hole in something. Why would they have to not get that history? It doesn't do you justice. And a lot of people are going from TikTok, from Instagram, from YouTube, and these sensationalized videos of places. They think that Mexico and Colombia is all in sepia tint based off of what they've seen on the internet or a movie. And what we're finding out is a lot of people, which you said, bridging the gap, um, don't realize that there is such a huge gap. They don't realize because I'll be honest with you, Sabina, a lot of people are coming and they may be in a marginalized scenario. They may not be the breadwinner or the majority or what America considers an American. Yet when you get outside of America, it's probably the first time that that American privilege is something that is on full front street. And a lot of people don't realize what that looks like or feels like. And then the gap, which you mentioned, especially in a big city like Medellin, it's really hard to navigate. I get people all the time, and they say, where are the black people, the Afro Colombians?" And I'm like, well, they're not going to be sitting in Parque Lleras unless they are tied to tourism or other kinds of tourism. That those things don't exist, and there are places where these things are in abundance. And it leads me to want to ask the question, because I get this and I have to consider this a lot. From your perspective, how can foreigners avoid unintentionally harming local communities?
Well, I don't think you can always avoid it at 100%. I think one of the things, like the most important thing, is to be aware, like, okay, I might be harming the local communities. What can I do to make the least harm, or how can I do something to like kind of make up for it, because by coming here and staying in expensive places, and like gentrification is real, and but also there is a lot of people fighting gentrification, and they want the foreigners out. And I'm like, well, the world is getting smaller. There's more foreigners in every single place in the world at the moment, and it will just increase. But we can be aware about, like, where do I spend my money? Is my money going to somewhere good? Can I donate? Can I give back? So the slogan of Digital Nomads for Good is actually give where you live. So I really like that slogan,
Me
because I'm
too.
like, that's really, you come somewhere, like if it's Medellín, then Digital Nomad can help you, for good, can help you with giving back. But any place where you're going, you can give and contribute something to the community, because you use all the facilities they have. You use the roads. You use, if you need to go to the hospitals, there is a hospital that you use.
You're right.
You use the airport. You use, like, there is so many things that you're using every single day, and then it's good to contribute, and it's good, like, you chose to live here, you chose to come here, so you can maybe contribute a little bit more, because there's a lot of people that are saying, no, but I there's like the cleaning lady, and I pay for like these people, so, and I give something to the homeless guy on the streets, so I'm contributing. And I'm like, well, that's very little, and giving something to the homeless guy on the streets is, maybe it's better to try to work, put your money at prevention, instead of giving it to the homeless guy on the street, who will most likely buy drugs of it, and will not go to a rehabilitation center, like a free centers that are in Medellin, because he got some money so he can buy drugs again, or he can
Hmm.
sustain his lifestyle. So I feel like most important is to see, like, how can you give back, because yeah, just by living, you kind of have like a bad impact on the environment.
Hmm.
uh, like, and that's something, like, well, you have to live, you have to, you want to do something, you cannot, people won't stop doing things, but you can see, you can look for the things, like, how can I do something good, like, how can I give something back? If I'm going to buy a coffee, am I going to buy it from a Starbucks, or am I going to buy it from this local coffee place where the owners are locals? Like, these small things are already making an impact, especially if one person buys one coffee from the local coffee shop instead of Starbucks. That's not a big difference. But if 5 people do that, if 10 people do that, or if like 100 or 1,000 people do that, like, that's when the impact really gets. So I think, like, it's good to think a bit further as only yourself, and also try to inspire other people to also give back and do something good.
No, seriously, seriously, because a lot of you guys don't realize, because I get these questions because everybody wants to know, especially when things go on the internet or in the news. Mexico was the one. How is it in Mexico right now with everything going on? When everything happened in Venezuela, people were calling me, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And you guys don't realize that. And I was talking about this last night. When you get into being a foreigner in another country, a lot of Americans, they go from pillar to post, from east to west, north to south, and they're still all in the United States. And you guys have some flexibility that you might not realize that you have, because you can just leave. But you don't, you when you leave, it doesn't mean things don't go on. It doesn't mean that you haven't been here and haven't, as you mentioned, used the roads, the streets, the things of that nature. And it's becoming, relocation has become more of an exploitive thing that I've seen, and not necessarily like that's what people put their hat on and say, this is what I am going to do. But it's the unintention when it comes into relocation where I think a lot of people are having this friction, and they're asking me, how do the locals feel about you? And I want to ask you a specific question regarding that, is because you talk to children, you talk to adults, the organizers, the people that see you in the community going into the organization, walking up the steep hills to get there. What do they feel not only about you, but the people you may bring around? How do they feel about those foreigners that they see actually engaging in the community versus the ones that they see maybe only in the tourist areas or maybe doing the negative things?
Yeah, so the people that I'm more surrounded with, uh, those people, they don't see a lot of foreigners. So they, every time they see a foreigner, they get really excited. Kids, they want to practice their English. Kids just come up to you and they guess your nationality, and kids are, they're very curious. They're very, like, their hearts are open. They are there to talk to you. They want to know everything about you, and sometimes they're shy, but like, that's in general, they're really happy to see foreigners. And for the different foundation, like the people working at the foundations, like, that's like, in general, they're very happy to see foreigners if they want to volunteer, if they want to help. But some of them are more critical about foreigners because, of course, they see the news, they know what's going on. They're very careful, like, okay, can we have foreigners at the foundation, because, like, all the bad news that we get, like, can these kids come close, can these foreigners come close to the kids that we are serving. So that's something that's always like a delicate point. um, but in general, the foundations are very happy to receive foreigners, and especially if you have, like, ideas that you want to do. Like today, I met somebody who was like, "Oh, I can paint. I love to to paint," and she showed some pictures, and I was like, "Oh wow, that's really good. Like, you can do that with the kids if you want to." And she's like, "Yeah." And so she's gonna do like a 4 weeks workshop for some kids at one of the foundations. I'm like, that's so cool to actually bring your passion there. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, the there's a lot of, like, the founders, the people in the organization, especially a bit higher up, they know very well what is also going on the other side. But they're very, very grateful for foreigners who want to give their time. It's like, donate time, donate their knowledge to help these foundations to offer more activities, to give more knowledge, to help them with whatever is needed, to take some nice pictures so they can put it up their websites and their socials. Like, all these things, they're so necessary because, like,
You're right.
people often don't even think about it, but it takes a lot of time for a foundation to take pictures of everything. And if you're a foreigner visiting and they ask you to take pictures, like, that is something that's really nice that you can give back to a foundation.
You just added another layer. I didn't even think about that, but you're right because I can think about at least the two organizations, and I'm like, yeah, they would do great with some new videos and pictures and things of that nature. And yeah, and you said something, and I'm not going to harp on it too much, but I want to give you guys some pause for the cause so you understand. And this is why we do what we do. We come on these platforms, we go into the streets, but these platforms are where we can reach you. And you guys don't realize that what is has been done before you predicates you, even though it may not be you. So you mentioned what Americans or foreigners may be thought about. Women, men, doesn't matter, and coming into different places. Now, you may not and probably are not anything to do with that. However, these are the outward appearances because so many people are traveling, relocating into places, being extremely exploitive before you even got there and they got a chance to know you. Now, nobody is in a position to automatically judge you, but I say that is because we need more of what Sabina is doing. We need more of what you are hearing about in these environments where you are giving where you live. That isn't really important because unfortunately, we have a certain person in office, so he's not giving us any good PR. And then the Americans that are moving around in a lot of spaces, they're doing very exploitive things or very terrible things. So they're not really giving us that good PR. They're the people that are on the ground, the people that are doing positive work, they're not going as viral. It's not being seen as much. And we do need to show up and be able to give an opportunity to, I would say, shift the narrative, but realistically break some of these stigmas all across the boards. Because what I see when I go into these places is somebody that might come with us may have one thought, but then they're like, hold on, there's once I'm actually understanding, even if somebody's translating, you guys are really just like us. Like there's just really a language barrier. We're doing the exact same things. The kids when they when they get excited about stuff, they just look like American kids getting excited about stuff. It's like it's the exact same thing. And the opportunity, when I tell people to connect with culture, with language, with understanding of what real humanity is versus this false reality. I feel like what we've been sold a lot. I feel like you guys are doing an amazing job, and I challenge everybody here that has watched this conversation tonight. One, come to Medellin. I need you guys to come to Medellin and visit, not to come live. If you're not, it's not on the radar. I'm just saying, come visit, come to see this beautiful country. Come, go shop at local places, go eat at local places, hire local vendors, come volunteer with Sabina. These things are on the radar, but you have to do it with intent. Now, if these guys can't come, Sabina, I know we are looking at the entire YouTube right now, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook. You guys possibly were watching this from somewhere in the world that may not be America. How can they get connected with you so that they can help donate? Because you can go to the page. She's doing the work, and this is every day. It's not once a month, once a quarter. This is something that I'm seeing with my own two eyes, and she's actually doing an amazing job bridging the gap for people like you on the other side of this phone call. And I just want to make sure they know how to get connected, even if it's not a ticket down here to come volunteer.
No, thank you so much. So the easiest way to donate is to go to the website dnfg.ngo, and on that website there is a donate button, and you can choose the foundations that you want to donate to, or you can say like, okay, just spread my donations out to all the foundations equally, because like there is foundations, like it's difficult to choose. For me it's very difficult to choose. There is a foundation that works with kids who have cancer, and they live in the rural areas, and then this foundation makes sure that the kids and a mom or a dad can stay in Medellin to get the treatment, so they don't have to travel back and forth every day for the treatment. And then, so for example, the donations that we got in December, and I give it to all the organizations, and I asked them to fill out a form like, how did you spend the money? And they were like, yeah, that's for a funeral of one of the kids that didn't make it because the parents can't pay for the funeral. And like that breaks your heart. But another foundation that's like working with 500 kids and make sure that they are not going to gangs, they're not ending up in prostitution, they are making sure they go to school, and they give opportunities to study in the future. And other kids who live in shared spaces, and like there are so many, like another foundation that works with girls who have been sexually abused and they are safe where they're staying. So like there is so many stories. There's so many homeless people. If you are here, and these homeless people every single day, they are rejected, like rejection after rejection after rejection every single day. So like as a volunteer, you can go to a neighborhood and you give them a warm drink and a piece of bread, and they feel human, they feel seen for just once a week. So there is like all these organizations that are doing such great jobs, and so it's difficult to choose. So you can also donate with one click. You can donate to all the charities, but also if your heart is closer to one specific charity or to one specific target group, that's also something that's possible to do. So like there is that's a good way to help if you're not here, and also if you are here, that's also still a good way to support. And then I post a volunteer calendar every week on Instagram, so people can see every week, like in every slide, you can see like which foundation, which day, what hour, and there's the contact information of that organization. So I don't have to be in the middle of every volunteer going to the organizations. And there is days where there's like 5 or 6 opportunities to volunteer, which might be also difficult to choose. But yeah, so there is like so many ways to give back. So
No,
yeah.
that is awesome. Wherever you are, I'll make certain you guys get the information. You guys can go to moodtravelabroad.com. One thing you can do, sign up for the subscriber list. I did send my developer, so The reason I said that is because he'll be on our experts. You guys can go under our experts and get in contact with Sabina should you not see the DNFG.ngo website. Want to go get connected with her directly. Take a look at the organizations that she's already partnered with. Maybe you want to align with somebody in some particular cause. Maybe you want to completely donate across the board because Digital Nomads for Good is touching a lot of people. And these people, I am seeing it, they are touching a lot of people. And they are on all different places around this beautiful and wonderful city. It is always a pleasure not only to have conversations like this, but to shine a light on one people that are doing the work. We need more of this, more Sabinas, more people that have that fire in them to be able to start something like this that can actually be a globally impacting thing. This is not something that is isolated to Amsterdam. We're talking an entire other side of the world, let alone you guys are looking to come from all other parts of the world to Colombia, to Mexico, to Panama, to South Africa. You can give where you live, as she said. It is up to you to move with the intent, to move with the responsibility. This relocation is the opportunity to transform your life. But a lot of us realize that we are positively impacting and helping others transform their lives with some of the things that we're getting aligned with. And these things and these conversations are something that you should have on the front part of your radar when it comes to relocation. My name is RJ. I will be back with you guys. Manana, we will have a special guest on another one. We're going to be talking about healthcare tomorrow, navigating healthcare, your American expectations, what you need and what you may think you need, and what is waiting for you here in Colombia. We have our healthcare expert coming on to help you guys navigate that conversation from both sides of the coin because we are designed to help you get everything you remembered that you need and everything that you keep forgetting that you actually really need in your life. Sabina, thank you so much. I might be, Zach called me and said, let's go back on Saturday. He's had such a great time. He's like, we got to get jerseys. We've got to come up there. So I might be going back up there Saturday. I'm trying to figure that out based off my schedule. Once again, thank you for being open, not only for creating this, but for being open to working well with others, building with others, giving these resources and giving your time, energy, and effort. I really appreciate you. And actually, I commend you for doing what you do.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to come on your podcast. That's like really helping so much to get more exposure because it's important that more people know about DNFG. So thank you so much. You're also doing an amazing job connecting people. I think that's very important to create communities. And thank you. Thank you so much.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. So what I need you guys to do, if you guys are going to watch the replay, if you're watching the replay, share this video. She said, we need this people to see this. Share this video, get this message out, get this contact information out. You guys can be anywhere in the world and give back. Also, give where you live. This is a call to you. You don't have to leave the United States. You can still give where you live. There are people and organizations. The fire needs to be in you. Hopefully this was a sign to make it happen. I'll see you guys mañana. It'll be 6 p.m. Eastern time. You guys have a good night. And thanks again, Sabrina. We'll talk soon.